Right. And to close the show, the excellent Adam from Tumblr. Great, take it away.
So thank you very much. It's been pretty amazing to see some of my colleagues and friends really to get up here and talk. We didn't know about the order of these things before we started, but it's pretty amazing that I feel like my talk really complements Blake's. He was talking about these data-driven products, right? These things that you make with data that you collect from users and things like that. I want to talk more about how to design a product that will produce that good data. Like how can you collect a nice, clean, high signal, low noise data set to use for things like recommendations and things like that. And there are a lot of ways you can get help from your users. And so we can sort of start off by talking about what is a data product, right? We just heard all about Foursquare's recommendations and things. We all know Amazon. If I search for a cocktail shaker, they're going to say, hey, lots of people buy cocktail making accessories. At Tumblr, we try to recommend blogs to people. We use things like the social graph, some of the content of your posts, things like that, to find blogs that you might like. Everybody knows Netflix. And I think these are all pretty great, right? Like, I actually followed a couple of these recommended blogs. Mike Birbiglia is my favorite comedian, probably. So we all know these, right? But then there's this thing called a data generating product, right? And this is an application called Elixir. It's made by a guy I know. I really like it. It's kind of like a combination of Instagram and Foursquare for drinking. So you can see on the left, my friend Thomas went to some NASCAR event, took a picture of a beer, said, hey, I'm drinking this thing. He rates it and whatnot. So what they're really doing is they're using the Foursquare API, which is amazing to have. Thanks, Blake. And so they're adding this new thing to it, right? He's saying, I'm drinking whatever this is, Florida something or other, white ale. I'm drinking this, and I'm at this venue, right? And so when they're trying to figure out if people like the pork buns or what is actually on the menu based on tips, this app is saying, hey, like this drink is available here, right? Maybe the Sazerac at Harding's on 21st Street is really good. We can figure that out. And so I wanted to go. I got this bottle of Widow Jane bourbon, which is pretty great. It's a small batch. It's not in their data set. I can add it. So now what they're doing is just building this taxonomy of what drinks are available in places, and this is it, right? It's kind of a fun game. You can look around. You can see what the bars near you have. You can see what your friends like. There's nothing data-driven about this, right? But if you're a data scientist, or some sort of data product designer, you're obviously thinking, oh, I can recommend drinks to people, right? There's so many things that come out of this. I could recommend drinks. I could recommend bars. I could recommend drinks to bars, right? So you could talk to distributors and say, hey, people that like this bourbon always go to this place. You should send somebody there to try to sell it, right? And so I think this is an amazing, and I hope they start doing this stuff. So this is an amazing product that uses information from users. It gives them a fun experience. And it's sort of, I call it crowdsourcing with benefits. We're giving you data, but you're actually giving us something back. It's this shared experience and shared benefit. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about how we do something like this at Tumblr. This is a project I worked on. So who here gets emails like every week from Twitter, Facebook, Quora, Tumblr, things like that, right? Now, who here actually likes those emails? One guy? You got to be kidding me. I love these. These guys like them. I love getting these emails. I'm going to show you a couple of them, but there's one really important thing. You guys think it's spam, right? We don't like spam. So we're going to design an email that is not spam. It's going to be awesome. So I was putting this deck together yesterday, and I was like, I need some examples. And I searched, and I got this email like immediately from Spotify. Hospitality is this band from Brooklyn. They're one of my favorite bands. I get this email. They have a new song that's available. So that's cool. I didn't have to open Spotify. Their Discover page is really good, but I don't go to it all the time. But I got an email. It's like, hey, this is ready for you, right? And there's a couple of others. Quora is something that looks like it's sort of half editorially chosen, like the most popular good stuff. We got some stuff saying, like, my friend voted on this thing. And then another one is Prismatic, and that's like a news sort of aggregator thing. To be honest, I don't ever go to either of these websites, but I get these emails once a week or so, And they're good. They know I like machine learning. They know I like scaling software because we serve a lot of requests at Tumblr. And so these are things that I get in my email, and I actually use them, and I go to them, right? And so I had to design something like this for Tumblr, and we had to figure out what's going to go in it, right? And so the idea, the real thing that I wanted to make was, if I go on vacation for a week, and I use Tumblr every single day, if I go on a vacation for a week, what do I want to see when I get back, right? What did I miss? What did I really want to not miss? And so the sort of context of this is we're going to think about blogs that I follow. So if you're not familiar with Tumblr, just real quick, it's a blogging service. There's about 150 million of them that we host now. There's a social aspect to it that's sort of a similar model to Twitter or Instagram, where I can follow you and you can follow me, but it doesn't have to go both directions like that. And there's a dashboard that I can see all the content from all the people that I follow. There's some ways to interact with them, like liking and reblogging, so that now all my followers see a certain post that I want to share. And so we're going to use those sorts of things to find, of all the blogs that you follow, which were the best posts. And so there's really four pieces that go into this. I'm going to talk about this third one here, but the first one is, what are the best posts from a particular blog, right? So we have to come up with some way of measuring best, right? What is better? So we generally use how many notes it received, how many people liked it, how many people replied to it or reblogged it. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be comparing the posts from the performance of one post by a particular blog to all of the other posts by that same blog. So that's the sort of context of this first comparison, and we can do some ranking to figure out, which ones are better than others and by how much. The next thing is a similar idea, but it's between a user and all of the blogs that they follow. So if I follow 100 blogs, is that social connection equally weighted? Or are there some that every time they post something, I'm really into it, I'm really excited about it? So we want to figure out, for me, who are my favorites? And then the last sort of difficult thing to calculate is, which types of posts, which types of media do I like to see? So on Tumblr, you can post 7 different types of content. Video, audio, photos are by far the most popular. Links, things like that. So all things being equal, if there are 2 posts and one of them is an audio clip and one is a photo, which one should go into my email? And then I was saying that you can do this reblogging thing. We want to give a little bit of bonus points to content creators. So if I post something and Hillary reblogs it from me, and these are both candidates to go into your email, mine will show up instead of hers because I came up with it. That's fair. You would want the same thing. So here are building materials. I said we have 7 post types. This is them up at the top. And then this is a quote from my friend Gary. It says, you make your path by walking, which is pretty great. And you can see in the bottom right, there are ways for me to interact with this post. I can like it, which I did, you can see. I could reblog it, or I could reply that just, give them a little note, hey, that's cool. And so by me liking this thing, I've done 3 things. I've said that I like Gary's blog a little bit more than the others that I haven't interacted with. It says that this post by Gary is better than the other post by Gary by a little bit because there's more interaction. And it's saying that this is a quote, so I like quotes more than, maybe there's a photo above there that I didn't click on. And so what we're going to calculate, because I think this is the most sort of data generating part of it, we're going to look at the types of posts that I engage with. And so this is, for me, this is not aggregate of everybody at Tumblr. 80% of the posts that I like in some week, like in the summer, were photos, right? So if we're going to send me an email with like 5 things that I missed this week, we're probably all going to grab photos, right? Because that's clearly my favorite. It's standing out. The next closest is way down there. But of course, this isn't normalized, right? We don't know what kinds of posts I could have liked, right? Maybe I was shown 70% photos. So if 70% of the stuff that I see is a photo, clearly most of the stuff that I interact with is going to be a photo. So once we normalize this, you can see photos are okay, right? They're second best. Conversations are first best. Like, look at this. There's like none of them there. So I engage with a lot more kind of chats, right? Like little clips of chat rooms or something. I don't know. But the big thing is links and text, right? I use Tumblr at work all day. Don't tell my boss. Well, he does too, so it's fine. But you know, I don't sit for 3 or 5 minutes and watch a video that's like on the side of my screen, or I don't often click a link to a full article that I would have to appreciate before liking it. But you know, photos are quick and easy. I listen to a lot of music in the background, things like that. So the stuff that I really engage with on Tumblr are these things. So when we're putting my email together, we're going to consider this, right? And this is for me. There are a lot of people who, you know, there's like a huge video sharing community on Tumblr. Theirs would probably be very different. So the things that I didn't talk about, we're going to keep only the posts from my favorite blogs that I interact with. We're going to keep only the best posts from each of those. We're going to just get rid of all the links and videos. And then we have an app called Tuna that is our sort of mail sending app, because we want to send people cans of good stuff, right? We want to send, people actually eat tuna. Nobody actually eats spam. So we want to send people stuff that they'll actually open and enjoy. And so here's a little picture of my email that I got. It's a post from the Kickstarter blog saying this really cool thing, pen to draw in 3 dimensions, is shipping. Down the bottom is this skateboarder, Paul Rodriguez, who posted something on his blog. So this is our data product, right? We've got a bunch of ways of ranking these things, and we can combine the different features in different ways, and hopefully we'll find really awesome stuff to email people. And now, this sort of data generating product part of it is this. This is a picture of my Tumblr dashboard, and you can see if I want to post anything at all, the very first thing I have to do is tell Tumblr what I'm going to post. I, as a user, have to do the manual step of classifying this for them, for us. If it's text, if it's a photo, whatever. So we can use this later on. And there's no predictions. There's no, oh, there's a photo in this thing, but we don't know if it's the main content of the post. It's free, like 100% accuracy prediction all the time. But the big thing is, though, is Tumblr wasn't designed for that, right? Tumblr, David Karp was 5 years ago, wasn't like, you know, I really think it would be awesome if we had ways that someday we can send emails to people. He wanted it to be an easy way to blog, right? And so it was a product first. So if I want that hospitality track that Spotify emailed me about this morning, if I want to share it with the people that follow me, I can just click audio post, type a thing in. In this case, it pulls it from SoundCloud, embeds it on my page. Or if I wanted to be sassy to a tourist, the tourist asks me, could you give us directions to Olive Garden? New Yorker says no, but I could give you directions to a good Italian restaurant. That's there. Tumblr will format the names and things like that. So the idea here is that we're giving users tools to share a very specific type of content, and what we're getting in return is the classification of the type of content. And there are a lot of other people who do this, and I've certainly got my favorites. One of them, I guess you see a lot of lists, right? On Foursquare, you can see I'm always down to find another good Mexican restaurant. So a lot of my friends and I don't know, New York Magazine and things like that, they share these lists, New York City's best tacos. No idea, you don't really have to know anything about the venue or anything like that, but if they're in a list together, there's something in common, right? Similarly on Twitter, I'm sure the 4 of us who are speaking tonight are on the same list for a lot of different people. It might be because we went to high school together. We might be on the same softball team. It's probably because we're all active in this awesome New York data community. So that, we're similar. So Gilad can do all of these clusterings. You could use lists of all of these people even if they don't follow one another. It's an extra signal. It's not as clean as these other ones, like the Tumblr one I was saying, but it's still useful. It's still information. And then the last one, of course, is playlist songs, right? Mine is not very helpful. I only listen to full albums at a time, but I'm sure if the people at Spotify wanted to find every awesome gym song, there are probably a million playlists that are get pumped for the gym. So I don't know, lots of Beyonce and stuff like that together. And one last example, because I was kind of wanted to keep this quick, is Bitly for feelings. So we all know Bitly. Hillary was up here earlier talking about it a little bit. You take a big link, you make it short, you share it on the internet, right? So I share lots of stuff. This is a post from my friend Sean. I want to share it with people, but this Bitly for feelings thing, it gives you, instead of bit.ly, I can put like loveit.me or upvote.es or loathe.es. It's this kind of cute little vanity URL, but what I'm doing is I'm saying, I like this, or this is funny, or maybe you shouldn't open it when your boss is around, or something like that. And it's cool, right? And so what I don't know if anybody from Bitly who actively still works there is here. I really want to go in to my Bitly account and see every funny link I've ever shared, right? Because all of this data is public? Oh, all right. So if you're really looking for something to hate, you can just connect to the Bitly API, or I don't know, go down the street to Fox News or something. So it's this really cool thing, right? It's very similar to the post types, right? It's content types. And so who here has ever done like a sentiment analysis thing, right? Like was just talking about a second ago. First thing you do when you do sentiment analysis on text is you need these documents, right? They might be tweets, they might be articles, they might be whatever. And then you need these weights of words, right? Is this a positive word or a negative word or funny or serious or whatever it is you're trying to segment. If in every tweet you saw this thing that says like, I'm against this, this is negative, or, you know, I want this is a thing that I want to buy, it's just there already, right? And so this is data that you can just take and use. And as a user, I feel like these best data generating products are things where you say, I want to give you this signal. I started using Foursquare before the Explore feature was around, and it was somebody asked sort of about the cold start problem. How do you do this? And I was like, this has to be here someday, right? These folks at Elixir have to be able to tell me what bourbon I'll like next or where to go to find them. Like you just kind of have to, right? Because you know it's so good, and you're going to use it anyway because it's a fun product to use. So I think if you're designing, you know, if you're starting a company, you're adding new products and things like that, and you just want to go out and start predicting stuff, right? That's probably not the best solution, right? People argue about, you know, how do you start the cold start problem, which is when somebody shows up, you know nothing about them. Well, you should just give them something that everybody likes before you try to figure out and take from them. So with that, if anybody's designing products, please keep that in mind. I think it makes a better experience for everybody. And so with that, I'll say one thing. I recommend reading this link. Sean Taylor wrote this thing that basically makes this case for social scientists and researchers and academics and things like that, where he actually made a website called creds.me, which is you can go and vote on things like, you know, will the Denver Broncos win the Super Bowl this year? And if they do, then you get creds. I forget, there was an actual betting website that was similar that got shut down. I forget the name of it. But he built it so that he could measure how people are influenced by the opinions of others. It was like, I think it might have been part of his PhD project, but you know, he wanted to run this experiment, and so he made a thing to collect some data. He made a data-generating product, not for money or for things like that, but for research. And it's really amazing. And then, of course, recommended employment. We are hiring a bunch of people. I don't know if our data engineer jobs are posted yet, but they will be this week. So thank you very much. I guess I'll get that out.
Okay, so we're over time, so we'll just do one question real quick. If somebody has the lady over there.
Hello. So my name is Libby Englander. I run a company that does healthcare data analytics called Farmer. And I'm very inspired by this. Real scientists make their own data talk, because I was trained as a real scientist.
Could you speak up just a little bit?
Sure, I can. So what I'm kind of curious about here is I was thinking about Charles Darwin during your talk, and it seems to me that one of his key points was when you had a species that then became separated geographically, they started creating different characteristics. You got, in a sense, a creation of species because they no longer mingled and they developed different useful characteristics. So what I'm looking at this, and I'm wondering whether, in a sense, you're doing a reverse speciation, because you're taking a whole bunch of very different people who started at Tumblr, and it seems to me that, in a sense, you're almost not forcing them, but really encouraging them to come together with a very common vocabulary. I wonder if you did any analytics to ask, are you, in a sense, homogenizing the vocabulary, the interaction, almost funneling people in? And I do this because I don't use Facebook myself. I know that this is a terrible admission, but it seems to me that there's almost a certain pattern that a lot of these sites and texts and posts develop. And I was wondering if you did any sort of data on are you reducing the complexity? Are you reducing the diversity of these types of interactions?
So I think in a sense a little bit, right? Instagram is one of the most popular, fastest growing networks, and all you can do is post a photo. But the amount of creative expression that can come out of that is tremendous. And I think one thing that we've seen at Tumblr is, we want these 7 post types, I guess is what you're saying, right? Where we're kind of forcing people into this mold of what you can build. It does a number of things. I think it makes it less confusing when somebody shows up. You can kind of know what to expect. You know how this system works instead of it just being the Wild West. But the other thing that we really care about is sort of creativity and how people how people work within the bounds that we've provided. Any interview you see with David Karp where he says, what's your favorite thing that people do on Tumblr? And he says, it's surprise us, which is really true. Things like, we have these photo sets, right? It's like a block of 6 or 8 photos that you could put in a row, and they animate so that things move across them from photo to photo. And to have like 8 different coordinated things is really amazing. And we were not expecting something like that to happen at all. So I think, if you talk about sort of one species being separated or put into a very specific environment, I guess there are still these strange mutations, I guess, that take on. And, you may not have designed a thumb, but if somebody, we're giving people on Tumblr hands and they're growing thumbs, and we're seeing really amazing creative things come out of that. And it's really, really fun to watch, I think. I hope that sort of addresses your issue.
Great. Thanks a lot, Adam. So you're going to be around for a little while?
Yeah,
okay.
Certainly.
All right, so quickly, thanks very much to our amazing speakers tonight. Thank you very much to the Bloomberg people, Kristen, who helped us with the event, Ed over there, and a big thing as well to Dan Kozikowski, who's our Director of Community at FirstMark, who's been helping tremendously with this event. And last but not least, thank you to you guys, because, you're sitting through this, what I think amazing content, but like back to back for, over 2 hours during the evening. So I think you guys are amazing, and thank you so much for being part of this community. And we'll see you at the next one, which is going to be December 17th. Thank you.